Imagine a time before cities, before writing, before the wheel. A time when all people did was hunt animals and gather wild plants to survive. They lived in small, wandering groups, never staying in one place for long. In every history book, there is a simple rule about how we built civilization. First, people had to learn how to farm and grow food. Only when they had enough food could they stop hunting and start building great temples and cities. This was the fundamental law of human development. Agriculture first, civilization second. But in 1994, on a dusty hill in southeastern Turkey, archaeologists uncovered a giant stone secret that proves this simple rule is completely wrong. They found huge, heavy stone circles, a massive temple complex that was built 7,000 years before the Great Pyramids of Egypt. The people who built it were not farmers. They were just hunter-gatherers, armed with simple stone tools. This one place, called Göbekli Tepe, forces us to throw out the textbooks and start over. The question is, did people build the world's first great religion before they even learned how to plant a seed? Welcome to the ultimate mystery that rewrote human history. The year is 1994. The location, the Fertile Crescent of southeastern Turkey, a region known as the birthplace of agriculture. German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt arrived to study early farming communities, but his attention was drawn to a peculiar rounded hill known locally as Göbekli Tepe, Turkish for Potbelly Hill. Local farmers had known about this spot for generations, plowing around strange stones that kept emerging from the ground. They treated the hill with superstition, as if the earth itself were actively pushing the ancient rocks back to the surface. Schmidt decided to investigate the site, which had previously been dismissed as a medieval cemetery. What he found when his team began carefully brushing away millennia of accumulated dirt was not a cemetery. It was an intellectual earthquake. As the soil was carefully removed, massive, precisely cut limestone structures began to emerge. They found towering, T-shaped stone pillars arranged in perfect circles, like immense megalithic gathering places. The largest central pillars stood 5.5 meters tall, about 18 feet, and weighed between 8 and 10 metric tons each. The immediate question was, how old is this? Carbon dating provided the answer that stunned the academic world. These structures were created around 11,600 years ago, with the earliest layers dating back to 9,600 BCE. This meant Göbekli Tepe was built 6,000 years before Stonehenge. The true problem wasn't the age, it was who built it. At 9600 BCE, humanity was at the tail end of the Stone Age. We were hunter-gatherers living in small, wandering groups. The people had no agriculture, no permanent villages, and their tools were made of simple stone, bone, and wood. The conventional rule of history held that monumental construction, anything requiring massive coordinated labor, could only happen after people settled down and invented agriculture. Göbekli Tepe obliterated this model completely. It was a sophisticated temple complex built by people who were still nomadic hunter-gatherers. The site had no evidence of permanent residential structures. It was a sanctuary, a holy site used for rituals. This single archaeological site was the greatest challenge to the conventional Neolithic revolution thesis. The sheer physical effort of building Göbekli Tepe required immense, coordinated labor. something hunter-gatherers weren't supposed to possess. The central pillars weighed up to 10 tons each. How did people 11,600 years ago, without metal tools, wheeled vehicles, or domestic animals, quarry, carve, and move a 10-ton pillar? The first answer is geography. Göbekli Tepe lies on a limestone plateau. The quarry areas were nearby, and the limestone naturally formed in banks or strata. This meant workers only had to dig around the piece, not also beneath it. They used simple flint picks and possibly wooden tools to carve channels in the shape of the desired T-pillar into the limestone. Once the piece was mostly free, wooden beams and wedges were likely used to crack the stone free from the underlying bedrock. There were no wheeled carts and no domesticated animals for labor. The only power source was human muscle. Researchers estimate that moving a single 10-ton stone pillar would have required hundreds of people working in coordination. This required sophisticated social organization, hierarchy, and planning. The coordination necessary for thousands of individuals gathered from a wide radius to work together to transport and erect the stones implies a level of complexity that simply shouldn't have existed in small mobile groups. This level of organization demands a complex society, one that could manage resources and direct labor far beyond simple survival. If you're just as stunned as the archaeologists by the depth of these ancient mysteries, and you want to join us as we continue to investigate the greatest contradictions in history, hit the subscribe button now and turn on notifications. We publish a new deep dive into monumental secrets every day. The achievement at Göbekli Tepe is more than engineering. It is profound artistic and religious expression. The enormous T-pillars are clearly anthropomorphic, meaning they represent stylized human figures. The head is represented by the transverse top of the T, while the body, the vertical shaft, of the central pillars shows detailed reliefs of arms bent at the elbows, hands positioned at the waist, belts, and loincloths. The two central pillars in each enclosure stand out as larger-than-life, human-like sculptures. This confirms that the structure was a cultic gathering place for sacred rituals, possibly associated with funerary rites, built by people undergoing a major conceptual shift in how they viewed the world. The animal carvings that cover these pillars are equally revealing. They are almost exclusively dangerous or predatory species: foxes, snakes, wild boars, vultures, and scorpions. This sophisticated iconography reflects a complex belief system where humans were trying to define their relationship with a dangerous natural world. Göbekli Tepe forces the deepest question in early human history. Did religion invent civilization? The dominant historical thesis has always been that population settlement agriculture must precede complex society, religion, and temples. Göbekli Tepe flips this entirely. People developed a complex belief system. They needed a massive, permanent place to meet the need to feed the thousands of people who gathered there, forced them to invent agriculture. The building of Göbekli Tepe required the gathering of foragers from a wide radius to feed the huge number of people required for these building parties and ritual feasts. People were forced to find a better way to feed a large, gathering population. The dates of the earliest domesticated einkorn wheat seeds, one of the foundational crops of the ancient world, correspond exactly to the height of activity at Göbekli Tepe. This suggests that monumental, coordinated religion was the initial spark. The spiritual need for the temple created the organizational need for farming. This single archaeological site demands the rewriting of the Neolithic revolution. Göbekli Tepe was not abandoned due to conquest or structural collapse. After being in use for roughly 1,500 years, from 9600 BCE to 8000 BCE, the builders did something extremely strange. They deliberately buried the entire complex. Archaeologists are confident in this dating because the structures were intentionally covered with mountains of dirt and sediment, filling the circular enclosures up to the top of the T-pillars. This process created the rounded mound that gives the site its name. The question remains, why bury a temple that required such tremendous generational effort to construct? The burial was a deliberate desanctification process. As the world changed and beliefs evolved, the temple's spiritual power may have become obsolete or problematic. Burying it was the ritual way of formally closing the site and ending its power. The disappearance of Göbekli Tepe around 8000 BCE coincides with a significant period of global climate stress. The immense gatherings at Göbekli Tepe may have become impossible to sustain as resources grew scarcer. They may have buried the temple because the hunter-gatherer way of life it represented was dying. The monumental effort that may have given birth to civilization was itself deliberately entombed by the very people who created it. Göbekli Tepe is a monument to the humility of modern science. Its existence forces us to confront the limitations of our own understanding. We were wrong about the sequence of human development. The site proves that so-called primitive people were capable of abstract religious thought, sophisticated social organization, long-term planning, and artistic expression that rivals anything from later civilizations. The evidence suggests that we invented agriculture because we first needed complex society and religion. The spiritual drive to build the temple created the organizational pressure to develop the farm. The temple built 7,000 years too early is an ongoing challenge to every historian, reminding us that the story of human civilization is far more complex, beautiful, and unknown than any textbook allows. Every year, new excavations reveal more of the 95% of the site that remains buried. The stones of Göbekli Tepe stand as a monument to human ambition, forcing us to acknowledge that the greatest discoveries may not be ahead of us, but behind us, waiting in the earth for us to finally see what our ancestors were trying to tell us all along.